report of mine. The war's coming forth, never with the disguise. Another A-pop for you who really wants it. Shot levels in my vocabulary. Rolling with the punches, I'm roaming and jumping. Dealing with the problems, I got to be coping. Making it fit, and I click just like a Lego. I'll be Casio, but you can be tackled from the FBI to the CIA. I'm clearing out the path and here to LA. I be from C-Town, kicking the roof down, ripping up the mic and way past sundown. As a world, turn, as a world, turn.
Another episode of Prospects of the Land. The first half is over, but the second half is ripe for excitement. And joining us today, your Lake County Captain's head broadcaster, it is Logan Potosky for the second time on the program. Logan, did you remember a lot of the scenery and sights that we put in the intro video?
Well, I'll tell you this. There were some that I remembered, and I think you guys made a couple of new additions in there. Saw some Midwest League Championship action in there.
That's what I was asking about.
So love to see that. Love it.
We'll have to add Lynchburg into that fray as well after winning.
For sure.
Half. Yeah, we got to add that because I think it was Jason Prill is their broadcaster. Great call from him. That was awesome. Electric. As a guy who does a lot of play-by-play myself, it was great. Logan, how are you, man? Been a little bit. Last time you were on, you helped us preview the Captain's Championship Series, which they, of course, won. How's it feel to be a Midwest League champ? I know you got a ring on your finger now.
Yeah, really was just a special time. And, might have to say certainly that you guys were a couple of the good luck charms knowing that we did that Championship Series preview. So, that was just awesome experience. And, especially for a team that I grew up going to games to since I was a little kid. I mean, just was a truly full circle moment. And, the pro sports titles have not come too often in Northeast Ohio over the past 50 plus years. So got to savor them as long as you can. So just truly an awesome experience, one that I will not forget.
Yeah, don't we know that one? We know that pain all too well. Taven, how are you?
Yeah, doing good. We got to talk to Sean Matson earlier today, so obviously
check that interview.
That was great. I mean, if you haven't checked it out yet, it's on the YouTube. It's up on the Instagram. You can find a link on the X page. So that was great. Got to edit in that today. So doing pretty well. You, Nate?
Yeah, no, I'm doing good. We're actually moving tomorrow. I got a radio station job in Bellefontaine, which is in the western part of the state. So we're signing the lease tomorrow. We're getting up early. We're driving. We're starting the job on Thursday. A lot of big things are happening, but the sports media diploma is officially on its way. So we'll have that up on the wall eventually. So yeah, that's really nice. Well, Logan, you're officially part of the show today. So anything you want to say, you just jump in and say it, my man. We really value your opinion. Someone that's inside the organizations in a lot closer capacity than we are. If you're new to the show, we go through results. We work from the bottom up. We go to Lynchburg, through Lake County, into Akron, and then, of course, finishing it with Columbus. We'll talk about some transactions, which we finally have some this week. Hey, Logan Potosky, we're going to get your thoughts on Tommy Hawk. You got to be excited, as well as what every team can improve going into the second half of the season. So we start with Lynchburg, focused purely on the results. And Taven, I don't know about you, but you kind of could see this coming a little bit after the sweep against Carolina. They kind of were in for a little bit of a letdown with Augusta. Now, I expected kind of a split. I didn't really expect them to lose 4 of 6, but that's what they did. Again, Augusta was vying for a playoff spot, wins Friday and Sunday, and just overall a week where the offense was not super dynamic. Now, Tommy Hawk was still doing his thing. There are a lot of other guys that had some really good performances this week, which we'll talk about later, but Taven overall on the series, again, you definitely felt like this was a big letdown after winning the championship, but they've already secured the playoff spot, so
Not reading too much into it. Obviously, we knew they weren't going to, go out and sweep teams at a consecutive rate. That's just not going to happen in the minor leagues. But, I mean, there's some, sparks of promise out of some of these guys. Hepner, he threw a great game. Alfaro, he's really starting to find his stuff. So, I mean, the pitching staff down there, they're really starting to find their groove, and you love to see that. The bats weren't necessarily as hot as they were, but it's tough to keep them consistent as they were against that Salem team. And, then again, going into that Carolina series. So, not going to read too much into it. I would say a solid week for Lynchburg. Obviously, you got to, start turning some things around a little bit, but I think they're in a good spot.
Yeah, the guy that we just talked to earlier today, Sean Matson, starting to get a lot more innings, was a starter at Harvard, starting to really get relied upon for long relief appearances out of that bullpen. 4 innings where they only allowed 3 hits, 5 runs. Logan McGuire in 5 innings across 2 appearances led the team in strikeouts this week with 10 of them, and only, I think, put 2 runners on base during those 15 outs of baseball. The whip was .2, so really good stuff out of Logan McGuire. The starter struggled a little bit this week, especially now without Jogly Garcia. You really want to get him healthy, ready to go as we get into the second half of the season. But good performances all around from the pen. We do have one home run hitter this week. It is Luis Morejo, and he had the best week out of any Hillcat this week. Went 5 of 18 at the plate, 278 batting average, 909 OPS, did steal a base, drove in a couple of runs. Again, the offense was not super hot. Nick Mitchell had 3 RBIs this week. That was it to lead the team. Tommy Hawk, a little bit of a slower week, but still stole his amount of bases, went 4 of 16. There for Tommy Hawk. Welbin Francisca continues to hit well. Christopher Espinola has really started to come around. Again, I mentioned Nick Mitchell had a pretty good series. Bennett Thompson hit a third of the balls that he saw, 5 of 15. 812 OPS. Again, all around, you felt overall it was a little bit of a disappointing performance, especially coming off of that, but you can understand it. The sort of the post-championship high, if you will. And I know they haven't won anything, but you definitely could attribute it to that.
Yeah, 100%. Logan, I mean, obviously you're up there with the Lake County squad, but have you paid attention a little bit to this Lynchburg team? And if so, what have you kind of seen out of this squad?
Yeah, I definitely have been. A couple of names that you've already mentioned, they've been on the radar for a while now. Tommy Hawk, obviously, first and foremost. I'm sure we're going to talk about that in a little bit.
Save the Tommy Hawk thoughts. We got
a
lot to talk about.
Oh, yeah. I will say, so you guys just got to talk with Sean Matson. What a story he is. Just the story, that the background that he has. I don't know if you guys got to see it, but Lynchburg's broadcaster, Jason Pearl, wrote a fantastic feature piece. He interviewed both Sean and his sister Erin, who is her story is unbelievable. She won, get this, I believe it was 4 national championships in field hockey in North Carolina. She gets hired as the head coach the next year and wins the Natty again. So just an unbelievable athletic family the Matsons are. And obviously Sean himself has had a very strong season from what I've seen with Lynchburg. Wellbeing Francisco was definitely a name, just getting to see him at spring breakout. I had the honor and privilege to help call that game. Just getting to see him in action, know that he's a young, highly touted prospect. Luis Morejo was there too. I think he's still 18. If not, would have just turned 19. I have to see what his exact age is, but just a big body, powered bat at that such early of an age. Yeah, there are certainly some names that have been on the radar, and just on that point, saying that they've won a first half, does that mean that there is a potential, extra talent influx that might make its way to Lake County? We'll see. Just all depends on the way these things go, but yeah, there has been a lot of eyes on the Lynchburg Hillcats, and for very good reason this year.
Well, we are going to, again, ask you about Tommy Hawk a little bit later. That's a segment that we're going to talk about later in the show. But let's move into your stomping grounds. And Logan, first thoughts on this. It seems like, there are some weeks where the home run balls are flying. 2 from Antunes, 2 from Benjamin, 1 from Advincula, another one from Devers, 1 from Gonzalez, and then Ralphie Velasquez hit one over the fence as well. There are other weeks where that's a little bit hard to come by, but Rake County is still here this year.
Very much so, yeah. Especially at South Bend, couple of unbelievable performances this past week. I mean, Wilfredo Antunes is, I think, the hottest bat in this lineup right now. He's on a 9-game hitting streak. He was just named the Midwest League Player of the Week. That's our second Player of the Week this month. The other one is now no longer a Lake County captain. So we will be getting into that soon, I'm sure. Jonah Advincula got that honor a couple weeks ago. But yeah, there have been some very strong bats, especially this past week at South Bend. You had 3 games where we scored 10 runs, including back-to-back to end the series. Right. That was very key for us, especially our Sunday game. We were down 5-1. I mean, your backs are against the wall at that point, and we ended up scoring 9 straight. So once we find that groove, it is very hard to stop the Lake County Bats. And even on the pitching side, a couple of strong performances too. Yorman Gomez ties his career high with 9 strikeouts and 5 innings of 1-run ball. He is really finding his stuff, and that fastball works so well for him. He's touching about 95 or so this year. And then all aboard the tugboat, Matt Wilkinson, he continued to do tugboat things. 8 strikeouts, allowing just 1 hit, 1 run, and 5 innings in his start as well. So, yeah, there have been a lot of strong performances, and it's looking like the offense is in a strong rhythm here as we're going to be hosting West Michigan this week, who won the first half. They've got one of the best, just talented teams in all minor league baseball. So it's always a treat to watch us and West Michigan go at it.
Let's dive in more to some of those performances from this week. Juan Benjamin was named Captain of the Week, but I believe it was Wilfredo Antunez who was the Midwest Player of the Week. Taven, you got a graphic to flash that up as we read through his stat line. I already told you about the couple of home runs, but went 8 of 22, had a double, 2 triples this week. Very rare to see. Walk to strikeout ratio even at 1. And here is his slash. Oh, also with a couple stolen bases as well. Here's his slash line: 364 average, 444 on base, 864 slugging, and a 1.304 OPS. Whew, some massive numbers there for Wilfredo Antunez. Juan Benjamin only played 3 games, but 5 of 12, had the 2 jacks, 6 RBIs, 3 steals, 417 average, a 1.616 OPS. What a week it was for Juan Benjamin. Of course, Jonah Advincula got the call to Akron this week. He had another pretty solid series, including stealing, I believe, a week high 6 bases. I think it was the most stolen bases for him over a week period. 235 average, 964 OPS for him. Jose Devers hit 250. Esteban Gonzalez hit 235. 400 batting average from Jacob Kozart. 375 from Nate Collado. Christian Knapsick, thank goodness, man. He finally got out of that funk he was in. 348 from him. Kyle Ternetti, 375. 333, Kevin Rivas. 308, Johnny Tincher. Offense was on point, Taven.
Yeah, like you said, I mean, the offense you could really see is just starting to come alive with this team, and that's exactly what they need. They're Ray County for a reason, and that's, what they're starting to do. This week, we saw the pitching staff kind of really start to, find their groove, and especially Tugboat. You love to see him just finding, the groove that we know he's fully capable of. A guy that's been really up and down this season. This week, 5 innings pitched, 8 strikeouts, only gives up 1 run and 1 hit. I mean, that's the Tugboat we know, and that's the Tugboat we got. So obviously love to see what he's doing. But like you said, everybody on this offense, just the potential's through the roof, and that's exactly what we saw. Knapchick, we know he's a dog, and he's starting to find that rhythm again. Ralphie Velasquez, he's doing his thing. Advicula, like you said, Benjamin, Antunez. This lineup, it just had so many hitters, and that's exactly what they need going in the second half.
Yorman Gomez with a good start. Tugboat had a good start. Good to see that out of him as he's had his ups and downs this season. Double bump week for Jackson Humphreys. Pitched 2 really strong games. Walks a little bit of a problem, but a 1.29 ERA, you won't argue with that. Over 7 innings, not at all. Josh Hartle, pretty solid 4-inning start. Caden Favors really the one guy that didn't have his best start, but a lot of really good performances out of the pen. Josh Harlow was great. Kyle Scott was great. Jay Driver was great. Jesus Luna was great. Jack Jasiak did definitely get touched around quite a bit. But overall, again, we know what Jack Jasiak is capable of. Overall, good week for Lake County. They build momentum like we needed them to do as we enter into the second half. We move on into Akron, and another really disappointing series for the Ducks. They get the split on the road over Portland. And again, it's a Portland team that, we said it last week, was a lot more talented than what their record and some of the numbers said they were. They had a ton of good pieces on that team. And overall, there were some ups, there were some downs. But you get the split against Portland by actually winning the first 3. So you already had the split secured, and then you lost out. And that first loss there on Friday, the 8-2 loss, really was what did you in probably for the first half. Even though Chesapeake saved Akron that night, didn't matter in the long run. As, again, Sunday was the 10-0 loss, which was an absolute disaster for Akron, where nothing seemed to go right. Taven, ups and downs for the Ducks, and we're starting to see inconsistency out of this team after they were so good most of the first half.
Yeah, I think a big part of that, obviously, we kind of saw. A lot of those mainstays are kind of gone now. The pitching staff, it kind of your stars are gone. I mean, if you kind of would say that. I mean, Davenport no longer there. He's with Columbus. Austin Peterson, he's up there too. So a lot of these guys, starting to find their groove. Obviously, DeLucia, they still got a long ways to go. Like you said, though, inconsistency. DeLucia, his first start was absolutely phenomenal with Akron. This week, not the best, kind of exploded against Portland, but I think that's kind of the theme of this Ducks team that we've seen the past couple of weeks is just up and down. And at the end of the day, you have to be, in my opinion, borderline flawless to get the best of Erie, a team that seems year in and year out, they kind of own you for the fourth straight year. They're going to the playoffs. Obviously, very talented team there. And you have a chance to join them once again in the playoffs, just like you did last year, get the second half. But I think consistency is just the biggest thing. And most of these guys, got a lot of guys coming up from Lake County, but it's going to be interesting to see if they can really find a groove.
Which I still think they're in a really good position to do. Like sure. Akron was far and away the second best team besides Erie out of that division in the Eastern League as we go through.
And you'll have Bazana coming back too, which will really help.
Yeah. Please. As far as some of the stat line goes, again, they're just really not fantastic. Dion Frias has really lit it up with the bat this year. He had a good week, hit 333. But oddly enough, even though the batting averages all round don't look that great, we do got a lot of home run hitters to talk about. Even though he only hit 174, Guy Lipscomb got it over the wall twice. Khalil Watson with 2 bombs. Cameron Barstad had 1. Jorge Burgos and the aforementioned Dion Frias with 1 as well. Usually the Ducks pretty good walk to strikeout ratio team. This week, not at all. 6-1, 10-0, 8-3, 8-3, 7-5, 6-2, 7-1, 6-1. Really just a very down week for Akron. They sort of flustered down the first half here. And Taven, like you said, I mean, the stars and the pitching staff just aren't here. There's no Aaron Davenport. There's no Austin Peterson. Trenton Denholm is trying to push his way out of the bullpen into a starting role, but he's been good. Dylan DeLucia, of course, getting that call up from Lake County, actually had 1 real good start and then 1 not so good start in his double bump week. Rodney Boone is back into that starting rotation. He's been solid. Tommy Mace got lit up. Same with Zach Jacobs. He did have a start this week, and it just didn't really work for him. I already mentioned Tommy Mason. Even a lot of the bullpen guys struggled. Leftwich, after coming back, he was okay. I know your thoughts on him, Taven. Magnus Ellerts really got hit around. Zach Jacobs really got hit around. Ross Carver really got hit around. Davis Sharp did as well. There's a ton to improve on, a ton to get better, but we'll talk about some of those improvements. But overall, still a good position entering the second half. Logan, thoughts on Akron watching them?
Well, something too that I think we're all keeping in mind is just the injury bug is a real thing for some teams. Absolutely. It just unfortunately seems to be for the Rubber Ducks right now. You got 3 strong quality bullpen arms in Alaska Abney, Alan Hernandez, and Matt Jasek, who are all crucial parts of our championship team last year in Lake County. Those are 3 staples to have in your bullpen. Just not having them isn't really helping things. Rorik Maltrud really turned things on toward the end of time with Lynchburg and his start with Lake County last year. So those are just a few strong arms that aren't in your rotation right now. And I also saw that Carter Spivey, I believe, is on the injured list as well for the Rubber Ducks. I mean, him last year with Lake County, I got to a point where us in the booth, we almost expected quality start every game. That's just the way that he was spinning the baseball last year. So again, those are just a lot of quality pieces. Just not having them isn't helping you, unfortunately. So, you just got to kind of weather the storm. That's the thing with the 2-half structure in minor league baseball. It's just if you get hot at the right time, you can turn it into a playoff spot in the blink of an eye sometimes. And then obviously position player wise, great to see Angel Hanau get back in the fold. He's blossomed into one of baseball's top prospects. I know he's one of Cleveland's top prospects. He is a very special talent, and he's got the smile and just mannerisms and personality to prove it as well. You guys are going to really love seeing him with the Ducks throughout the rest of this year. Obviously, Travis Bazana, number 1 pick. Really felt bad to see him go down last month, but hopefully, he comes back fairly soon and, does what we expect him to do. Just the work ethic for him is off the charts. It is as advertised, having seen it myself. Personality the same way for him. So when you start to get some of these reinforcements back for the Rubber Ducks, and obviously we do have at least one reinforcement on the way in Jonah Advincula for them as well. You guys are going to love him, especially the way he ended up performing in Lake County. So good things are on the way for the Rubber Ducks, I'm sure.
Yeah, again, we'll talk more about adjustments later, and let's move on into Columbus, which I'd argue Lake County has been the most confusing affiliate this year, and I want your thoughts on that later, Logan. But Columbus, man, Taven, kind of exactly what we thought was going to happen is happening right now with the Clippers. They get all these to what the fans like to call quadruple A players. Chase DeLauder, not a quadruple A player. He's trying to work his way to the big leagues, but he had 2 homers this week, and the most impressive week we've seen from Chase DeLauder as a Clipper throughout his entirety. Obviously got Player of the Week as named by the Columbus Clippers. 412 batting average, 1.3 OPS. The on-base percentage was great. The slugging was great. He struck out 1 time, tied for a team high in 7 RBIs, 7 of 17, scoring 4 runs, had a double. Chase DeLauder is putting the entire package together. But now you're getting to, again, some of these quadruple A players, right? John Kenzie Noel being one of them, had 2 home runs in the same game. And those are his only 2 home runs. And even though the batting average and whatnot is fine, and he struck out 9 times, again, those 2 jacks will do it for you. 3 home runs from Milan Tolentino, who's really starting to come along nicely. Not that he wasn't an Akron, but man, he's been, I think, performing at a different level in Columbus. 389 average and a 1.476 OPS for Tolentino this week. 7 of 18 was his official stat line. Otherwise, the batting averages, they look pretty solid. Cody Huff was pretty good. CJ Kafis, honestly, compared to what we've seen from CJ Kafis, very down week for him. CJ, I'm kind of disappointed, man. I don't know what I'm looking at here. No, but you're going to have some of those weeks. Brian Rocchio still continues to try to prove to the big league club that he's ready to get called back up. And something I've been saying for a minute. Will Wilson, a little bit of a down week, but he only played 2 games there. And as far as the pitching standpoint goes, again, Columbus started to build momentum. They did take 4 of 6 from Indianapolis, which was huge. I think they ruined the Indians' playoff chances there as well to clinch the first half. Joey Cantillo, in a little bit of a rehab start, looked really, really good, only allowed 1 hit. Doug Nikhazy got hit all around the ball. Yep, there you go. There's Joey Cantillo. He got a player of the game when he did pitch. Doug Nikhazy got hit around the ballpark a lot, and the ERA doesn't necessarily look that great. It continues to be up and down for Doug Nikhazy. However, Vince Velasquez was pretty darn good. The rest of the starting lineup, Messick, Peterson, I think still trying to adapt to that AAA level, but there were a lot of guys out of the pen that, you got to give some pretty good credit for. Nick Mikolajek was pretty solid this week. Zach Kent, pretty good this week. Luis Frias, good this week. Matt Kruk, who, again, new to the organization, doing good things. You want to see Franco Alamon do a lot better. You want to see Ryan Webb do a whole lot better. Want to see Will Dion do a whole lot better. So pitching-wise, Taven, honestly kind of a down week for the Clippers. But, again, this is exactly what we thought was going to happen with Columbus. They get all these guys from the big league club that just can't quite figure it out at the big-time level. And then they come down to Columbus and they hit the lights out of the baseball.
Yeah, for sure. Like you said, we kind of talked about this Columbus team and how they kind of match up to last year's Columbus team. Really slow start, but second half is where you have to turn it on. And that's exactly what they did last year. Last year, they were one of the worst teams in the International League, and they flipped that switch, and they're in the playoffs. I think the same thing is definitely possible this year. Got a ton of those quad A players, like you said. There right now, Will Wilson, he's been on absolute fire in Columbus. John Kenzie Noel, absolute beast in Columbus. Brian Rocchio, he's playing good. And I think the pitching's really starting to come around too. You didn't really see it a ton this week, but again, quality starts out of Joey Cantillo, like we said, a guy who's, been up at Cleveland, another one of those quad A players. As some people might say. Doug Nikhazy, he had a great outing this week, and that's exactly what we need to see out of him. In 5 innings, he only gave up 1 run, 6 strikeouts, so great out of him. My boy Aaron Davenport, absolutely killing it. He's starting to flip that switch. 5 2/3 innings pitched, 1 earned run, struck out 5. So I think this Columbus team is really starting to find its groove, and that's exactly what they need to do, especially with having all these quote-unquote quad A players down there, because they're still really good ball players. If they haven't figured out the major leagues, they're still really quality players, and we're seeing that this year, with their time in Columbus.
Potosky, what do you think about the quad A player?
Yeah, the quad A player, I feel like that term has really been used more widespread over the past few years. And I mean, it's like why these players, they have so many send downs in their terms of their contract. Like, you're going to have points where, hey, you're in kind of a cold spell, so you kind of just get a bit of a tune up, going back to a lot of the type of pitching. I'll say it from the hitter side of things more so. You go back to the kind of pitching that you've been more familiar with, and just find a hot groove in your bat once again, and then maybe it just helps give you some kind of spark. So, I mean, I understand where that is, because it's like you're trying to get to that full-time major league status. You're not quite there yet, so you're getting a bit of a tune-up at the AAA level. So, you're going to have those all across the bigs. You're just wanting yours to really get it turned on sooner versus later, and then you can get back to that major league status and hopefully find yourself in an everyday role. Something with Columbus that I did want to bring up was Milan Tolentino. Boy, is he's turned into a slugger now. Back when he was in Lake County 22 and 23, he wasn't hitting double-digit home runs this early. Now, he gave you plenty of strong contact, don't get me wrong. It wasn't weak contact by any means, but just the home run numbers were at a single-digit type level for quite a while. He would be getting on base quite often. Phenomenal defender, and gives you great speed on the base paths too. But now that he's adding that power-hitting element to his game, he is really turning into the well-rounded player. That's one of those under-the-radar prospects that where he may not be the most highly rated on a list. Look out for that kid. And he comes from a great baseball background. His dad, Jose Tolentino, longtime Spanish play-by-play for the Los Angeles Angels. He won a College World Series at the University of Texas. He's coached Mexico's national team. So that's a very strong, foundation. Milan's been around a very high level of baseball his whole life. So just to see him really putting everything together, he's going to be putting the AAA level on notice for sure. And then obviously, great to see Chase DeLauder get a Clippers Player of the Week honor. When he puts everything to good use like he just did this past week, man, is he fun to watch. I mean, just an incredible talent, and just the size and athleticism he brings with that size, about 6'4", nearly 240, really is just a special player. So hoping that he, can keep it consistent and hopefully find his way up at the big league level soon.
Yeah, and getting to watch DeLauder too in Akron, he'll take a half-hearted swing at the baseball and it'll gone and it flies. About Milan Tolentino, do you get the sense that it might be because the Clippers ballpark is a little bit more home run friendly? Just a little bit?
I mean, that probably can help some. To that end, I'd say Classic Auto Group Park, at least at the high A level, that's been known as one of the most hitter-friendly parks. And, I mean, he certainly did hit his fair share, but it wasn't at the rate that he's doing now. But, yeah, that comes with a lot of different things. Like, I think of somebody, we're going to talk about him later, just the way he's performed, you just can't help but sneak his name in. I recently heard Jonah Advincula on a podcast just talking about in the offseason, he was working on just cleaning up the swing path and trying to increase the bat speed. So even if it's just things like that are coming into play, you add in the factor of, hey, you're in more of a hitter-friendly ballpark. You kind of put two and two together, and that can really lead to something special. That's what's happening with Tolentino. Just hoping that he can keep it very consistent, because just, again, defense is very good. Speed is very good. You add the power element to his game. That's a three-headed monster for him. And younger guy as well, particularly middle infielder. I don't know. They may be playing him at a bit of third base, maybe. I'm not sure. But, that's just one of those under-the-radar guys where it was someone like Austin Peterson last year. I think he's gotten more mainstream, and I think just the way that he's pitched over the past couple of years, you'll see him start to climb up those lists as well. So those are really two guys where they're not in that top 10, 15 prospect rankings necessarily, but they are making a case for it for sure.
Yeah, Milan Tolentino, 11 home runs already, and was the walk-off king in Akron last year. And now this year is the home run king for Columbus. I think has a walk-off or two with the Clippers this season as well. Hey, we have a lot of prospect news to talk about. We're going to mention the one about, or I should say transactions. Jonah Advincula is the first name that we're going to be coming up, of course, with all the injuries to Akron. Sort of the reinforcement coming up, as Mr. Potosky said earlier. He is going to be brought up into Akron. I had his stat line up, so give me 1 second. I'll pull it up for the full season, unless you already have it up, Taven.
I do not.
Okay, well, that's great.
One for technology.
Yeah, exactly. Here we go. All right, 278 batting average with an 887 OPS, 5 home runs, 5 doubles, 4 triples with 23 runs batted in, and he's a base swiper, man. We're going to talk about another one in a minute, but he's stolen 26 bags and is has one of the top marks in the organization in terms of stealing bases. Only been caught 8 times. The walk to strikeout ratio is awesome. Taven, he gets into what I guess you could consider a fairly crowded outfield room. Jorge Burgos is out there. You have Jake Fox, Joe Lampe, Guy Lipscomb, but I think Advincula is going to slot in very well.
Yeah, for sure. I think he's got the stuff 100%. Like we saw last year, I think that's kind of maybe kind of the first taste of kind of what we kind of saw he could do, if that kind of makes sense, in that playoff series. I mean, he was coming up in big moments, and that's kind of the first time I really kind of took notice of this guy. Like, okay, he's going to be something special. And we said it. I personally said it before the season started. I think he's going to be one of those kind of role players. Not really a big name, not your Churio, but Velasquez, but I think he's going to be one of those guys that in the lineup, and you're going to look at his stats and you're going to be like, whoa, this guy's a really good ball player. And that's exactly what he turned out to be. Dude can hit for average. He can swipe bases. He's a heck of a fielder out there. So I love everything he brings. I think he's going to fare pretty nicely with this, the rest of this Akron outfield.
Logan, you touched on it a little bit, but give us your thoughts on what the Ducks exactly are getting in Jonah Advincula, and also where you think he could slot in and how the manager, Greg DeCenzo, is going to manage 5 outfielders out there in Canal Park.
Yeah, I think the first word that comes to mind for Jonah is consistency. He's a guy that gets on base very often, rarely ever see him chase anything that's way out of the strike zone. He is always working deep counts, and I say that in a way of he's not swinging a junk. And just the speed aspect that he brings to the game really is something to marvel at. Over 30 steals last year. I think he was 32 for 36 in the regular season, and he's got nearly 30 already with the Captains this year. Once he gets on, he's one of those guys where you're going to expect often he's going to likely go second to third, maybe not as much as someone else we're going to talk about in a few moments. But for him, it's just getting on base, and that batting average really has started to turn on as of recently. In fact, at the time that we're taping here, he's leading the Midwest League this month in on-base percentage, slugging percentage, and OPS in the month of June. So he has just turned into a triple threat. So the bat is really coming alive. It really did at the end of last year. He homered in each of the last 2 games of our Midwest League Championship Series. And they were 2 key. Those are 2 key big swings for him. And just super, super nice guy, just very easy to talk to. Just brings a lot of fun to the game. He's got deep baseball roots too. His father, Jeremy, has been a longtime high school coach. And how about this? His younger brother, Jaron, it's a name to maybe look out for, on the draft board in the next couple of years, because he's a middle infielder at Cal. He won the Cape Cod League batting title this past season, with the Katuitt Cavaliers. So, and I believe he was first team All Pac-12. I'd have to go back and double check, but yeah, the Advinculas have got a lot of strong baseball to them. Jonah's the latest example. Where you mentioned the 5 outfielders coming into play, from my understanding, so I've been in touch with Akron's PA announcer, Dave Cameraman. He was our PA announcer this past year. He was telling me Jorge Burgos is getting some action at first base.
Yeah,
that's something that he did not play that at all with Lake County, unless I missed something.
Not at all.
So just seeing that, I was like, that's interesting. So maybe Burgos playing a bit more first. Sounds like that might be in the cards with Jonah slotting in. You can always have one of the guys at DH if you have to. But again, that's a solid group of players you mentioned. Guy Lipscomb, Joe Lampy, so many big names in that group as well. So I think it's going to be a seamless transition, like you guys are saying. And I think you guys are going to really like what you see out of him. So wishing Jonah all the best. Was an absolute pleasure to work with. And I just can't wait to see what he does with Quackrin and for the rest of his baseball journey too.
Yeah, Taven, that's actually really interesting. I don't think we've talked about that much. Burgos playing first as a natural outfielder, a guy that's played outfield all his life, and now they're slotting him in at first. Well, you kind of needed someone to fill the shoes, so to be, of CJ Kafis over there at first base, which are not easy shoes to fill from a batting standpoint. But as far as putting someone at first base, well, you can't put 8 players on the field. Someone's got to get there. And, I mean, Burgos, he seemed like he's defensively been okay at first base, still trying to get used to the position a little bit, but those growing pains are going to come. Taven, more transactions. I know you were really bummed to see the news out of Columbus because I believe – so Christian Cairo, I think, is now on the IL. You can correct me if I'm wrong. But then 2 cuts have been made. No more Kyle Datris, no more Mike Caprice.
It sucks. Micah was my guy. 2021 Akron championship. He was a part of that team.
You got a bat too.
Yeah, he was Mr. Walk-Off before Tolentino was. I mean, I want to say in the 22 season, he had 4 walk-offs, one of which was back-to-back nights. And it was like the last week of the first half where they like really needed to win. It was 2 big time walk-offs, and one of the nicest guys I've ever met. Just love him, love what he's done. It's a weird time because you saw he was on the IL at the beginning of the season, and then he came back, kind of struggled, but he's kind of been turning some things around. I mean, he homered in this past week with Columbus.
I think he's homered the past 3 weeks, 2 or 3 weeks. He's had a home run. Yeah,
I mean, I don't know. He's been very up and down with Columbus. As of recently, a lot of first base prospects within the system, a lot of outfield talent too. So not really going his way with that either. But no doubt he'll catch on somewhere else, and he'll obviously just do Mike Caprice things. There's no doubt in my mind that he'll eventually see the major league time somewhere down the road.
Yeah, we'll see. And we're probably going to see this a lot more with Lynchburg and some of the other affiliates, especially as the draft is happening soon. These start to be a little bit more frequent, and it sucks. You saw Connor Cox get dumped last year. One of the many Gabriel Rodriguez's that are out there, he got cut after just not a great stint there with Akron. It's just the unfortunate reality. We wish Mike Caprice and Kyle Datris nothing but the best in any future endeavors in and out of baseball. But the one that we're really going to pick Mr. Potosky's brain on today, Taven, Tommy Hawk. Finally got that call. We've been saying it for how long? Probably a month at this point. We were so excited to see what he could do in Lake County. And now at the start of the second half, we are finally going to get that shot. There you go. The Welcome to Lake County graphic is here. Let us run through. If you're not familiar with Tommy Hawk, which if you've been watching our program, you definitely are, this is Tommy Hawk for you. This is what Tommy Hawk has done throughout the entirety of the season. A 309 batting average with a 453 on-base percentage. Advinculus is around 431. The Hawk's a little bit higher than that. The slugging percentage is not there, but we'll explain why in a minute. 835 OPS, has 64 hits, 65 runs scored, 11 doubles, 2 triples, doesn't have home run power, but that's okay. Has drawn 53 walks, and this is the big one, 63 stolen bases. He added 3 more to his total this past week. It sets him at 63. And Taven, we're going to answer the question today is of if he can break a minor league record, but we're going to get to that in just one moment. First, I want to just say this. 11 doubles and 2 triples doesn't do it justice. Whenever he gets on the base paths, a walk, a single, it's just as dangerous as a double or triple. It might as well be because of all the bases that he steals. He's even stolen home once this week. Logan, you definitely have been paying attention to Tommy Hawk. It's hard not to. He very quickly is becoming one of the most hyped up prospects, not throughout the organization, but in minor league baseball, and you get to call him now. First off, how excited are you that you get to see Tommy Hawk?
Very much so. I'll tell you this. Lake County last year, we led minor league baseball in stolen base percentage. We set a franchise record for stolen bases last year. Wonder if this is a guy that's going to come in and, we're going to challenge that record, perhaps even break it. This could have happened at a better time because this past Saturday, the captain set a single game franchise record with 8 stolen bases.
Mm-hmm.
And that's without Tommy Hawk in the lineup. But I'll tell you this, Jonah Advincula, the guy he's coming in to essentially replace, had 4 of those. That tied a single game franchise record individually. So he's I'm sure, going to fit right in. He's got some strong ties to a couple of current captains already. In fact, so we drafted Tommy Hawk out of Wake Forest back in 2023. The following year, in the 3rd round, the Pirates drafted left-hander Josh Hartle, who also pitched at Wake Forest.
Right.
They were Wake Forest teammates together. They were also high school teammates at Reagan High School in North Carolina. So
Nice.
I'm sure those two, having that reunion, they've had it at the high school level, the college level, now at the pro level. That's going to be so special. Anytime those two are in the lineup at the same time. And we've got a lot of North Carolina guys on our team, even if they didn't go there or go to school near North Carolina, we just got a lot of guys who are from there on the team. So Tommy Hawk is another one of those guys. So it's going to be great to see, a lot of them just get back together. I'm sure they see each other in spring training very often, but at the affiliated level, very special. But yeah, just seeing all the hype, all the stolen bases that he's had, the runs scored, just like Nate, that was a great point that you made. The extra base hits don't scream at you in terms of his stat line, but when he gets on base, it's essentially an extra base hit because it's almost a guarantee that he's going to take 2nd and 3rd and perhaps home as well. So yeah, we're really looking forward to welcoming him to the squad. We're hailing him the fastest man in minor league baseball because next in line is 9 steals behind. And, little nugget for you guys. We can make a big league comparison, if you will, for right now. I know he is only in high A, but Tommy Hawk, he is the first minor leaguer since at least 2005 to have at least 60 runs and 60 steals in the first 69 team games of a season. So Lynchburg's played 69 games so far.
Wow.
The only major leaguer to do that in a team's first 69 games of a season in the modern era, that since 1901, it was a guy named Ricky Henderson all the way back in 1982. So he is in some elite company, Tommy Hawk. So we are really excited to have him in Eastlake and, really just get to see what he can do in person. We've seen plenty of highlights and everything, posts and just all the great stuff surrounding him. We're going to get to see it in person. And it's going to be an honor and a pleasure to have I'd say front row seat, a press box seat to that action.
It's basically a front row seat. To me, a press box seat is just as nice as a front row seat, and I love my
you're right.
AC. And I love my AC. So, yeah, absolutely. The biggest question, though, that we have to answer with Tommy Hawk, and Logan, this is where your input especially will become in handy on this. Can he keep this up? There could be this narrative, not that I've seen it a lot, maybe from a couple places. There could be this narrative that, it's single A pitching. You're at the lowest level of the minor league system. Anybody can run on those guys. I mean, just listen to this. He's got 63 stolen bases, and it's June. Not even the end of June. Yeah. It's June. That is 146 steals per 600 plate appearances. The record of that, Billy Hamilton in 83 with 155. Tommy Hawk can challenge that, but it's if he can continue it at the high A level. You're going to see pitchers with better pickoff moves. It's why they're at the high A level. You're going to see pitchers with quicker reactions. You're going to see catchers with better pop time. Logan, how likely is it that Tommy Hawk keeps this up? Or I'm not necessarily questioning if he's going to keep stealing bases entirely. We know he is. He's got 99 speed if he were to be in the show video game. To what rate do you think Tommy Hawk is going to be able to keep stealing bags like this?
Yeah, we're hoping that it certainly stays the same, if not progresses. That'd be pretty cool to see. We're going to have to be on minor league record watch, perhaps, for the most stolen bases in a season for him. But, you make a strong point there. High A pitching is on that, from, just at least from what I've heard and gathered, it's on that, like, it's right on par with the highest levels of college pitching that you could see in like ACC, SEC type of level. There are some very, very quality arms, especially in the Midwest League. So we're hoping that it can keep the pace. There obviously is an adjustment time where, you're at a new level, you're in a new place, you're going to new places, you're facing so many different new people. But it's just something that I think with the Lake County Captains has been such a strong driving force for our success over the past couple of years. The chemistry has just been unbelievable. I mean, there's just been just knowing what all these players go through from the very lowest levels of the minor league ranks all the way through high A and up. Just a lot of these players, they've played with each other, had some kind of experience one way or another at different levels. So it's not like a totally whole new team or thing happening. You're just adding in another guy that you've been around before. So for him, just looking for him to just play his game. That's the biggest thing. Like, keep doing what you've been doing that's gotten you to this level. And we're just hoping for absolutely nothing but the best. We're very excited. And, based on last year breaking a franchise record for stolen bases, maybe we can go after another one this year. We'll try and break it again.
Taven, what say you? Can Tommy Hawk keep this up?
Yeah, I think he can. I mean, if it's going to be anybody, I think it's a guy like him. I mean, he's been absolutely unreal. And you look at a lot of guys, they make the jump. The numbers may not be the same, but they're around there. But then again, you look at a guy like CJ Kafis we've seen earlier this year, and he's a guy who pretty much kept his stats, if not better, from the AA to AAA level. So I think Tommy Hawk, especially the stolen base category, I think he's going to be right there. I think he's just going to keep stealing bases. Yeah, you could say it's a jump, and it is a skill jump, but a guy with that talent, I just don't see him slowing down. I mean, we talked to Austin Aldiano. Jeez.
There you go.
And he just said, like, kind of like what you guys said, he's just so difficult to pitch to. A guy you have to pitch to him, because if he gets a walk, it's essentially a double. I mean, if he gets on first, he's just going to take second, potentially take third, and then you got a guy right on third base. So can't really walk. You can't pitch around him to put him on the base pass. And if you pitch to him, he's hitting 300. So he's just a threat at every single level. I mean, the dude's amazing in the outfield as well. So yeah, I personally think that he's going to be able to keep this up, just because it's not just stolen bases. I mean, he has the batting average, and I think that helps out so much with it, just to that factor and everything involved with that. So yeah, I think 100% that he, if he just keeps doing what he's doing, he should be able to just keep this going.
For me, I think that he absolutely is going to be able to keep it up. Is it going to happen right away? No, because like Mr. Potosky said, new team, new club, new players, new surrounding coaching staff, new environment, and even a brand new state. Lynchburg is the only affiliate that's in Virginia. He's got to come over here to Ohio, a lot closer to where the big league club is. He was actually in Cleveland today, I think, getting used to the downtown area and things of that sort. But for Tommy Hawk, I don't think it's going to come right away. But what I think helps Mr. Hawk is that he's playing in a system that, while Lake County might be in the bottom half of the Midwest League in terms of stolen bases, I think that's a very misleading stat, because this is still a team that can get on the base pass, that can run, that can steal. And if he truly is the guy that's going to come up and fill in the exact shoes in the exact spot that Jonah Advincula was in, I mean, that's a guy that had the most stolen bases on the team leaving this one. Tommy Hawk is entering nearly tripling those numbers. So it might take him a little bit of time, but I think the environment that he's in, with the team he plays on, even in the organization he's in, that values those guys that can go first to third, or that can even go first to home on a double in the gap, or that can steal second, steal third, make a walk or a single into a double or triple. It's an organization in Cleveland that values those guys, and you see them progress a lot farther, a lot faster. Give Tommy Hawk a couple weeks, maybe he steals 2, 3, and then I think we'll see a week where he steals 6, 7, 8, 9. Who knows? I think the sky's the limit for Tommy Hawk. Can he challenge this 155? I think it's going to be really close. I really do.
Yeah.
I think it's going to be really close. And there are a lot more at-bats to come for Tommy Hawk. Maybe these slower weeks might slow him down a little bit. But if he starts picking up the steam, man, look, 155 over 132 games, that's like 1.13 something bags. If someone can do the math for it, I did that off the top of the dome. We'll hope I'm pretty accurate. But even if I'm close, like you got to be able to steal a bag a game if you want to break that record. And how much is Tommy Hawk paying attention to that? Probably not much. Or maybe he is, who knows? But I think especially getting into an organization like Cleveland that values base stealers, getting into a franchise like Lake County that can steal bags, and knowing the shoes that he's going to have to fill with Advincula coming up to Akron, and he's now the new outfield guy that's going to hit consistently, get on base, and steal bags. No bad harm thrown to Jonah Advincula. Tommy Hawk's numbers are better than that. He's got a better batting average, better on base. He steals way more bags. And I'm not saying he's a better player than Jonah Advincula. There's a reason one's at the AA level and one's at the high A level. But I think he's going to fit in great, Logan.
Yeah, I mean, it's just a similar role. This is just one of those transactions where you're just reloading what was essentially the same kind of position. I have to see defensively where exactly Tommy Hawk has gotten lined up in the outfield. Jonah could left. All right, got you. Yeah, because I mean, I would say Jonah was mainly in the corners, but he absolutely has played all three outfield positions at a fairly solid rate. So those will, just going to end up ultimately seeing how Hawk will fit in with Lake County. We're hoping that it's just a continuation of what he's been doing, because he's turned into one of the most electrifying players in all of minor league baseball. And it's going to be a treat to see him on the base paths because, like we said, there's a potential record that could be caught up to here. I'm sure that's maybe not the thing he's necessarily thinking about, but just if that consistency just stays there, we've got another star on our hands. And I know that the Rubber Ducks do in Jonah Advincula. With him, he's really starting to tap into his power some as well. So it's a guy that gets on base, has a lot of speed, and rarely chases pitches and hits for a strong average. And that's exactly what the two are. Advincula and Hawk are two of the same. And it's just kind of fascinating because they were both selected in the same draft. Right. Tommy was picked around 6 and 23. 2 rounds later, we picked Jonah Advincula, and now they're in the same transaction here. So just cool timing and everything. And it's a pair of great, well-rounded outfielders in the Guardian system.
And to answer your question further, Logan, here is every defensive assignment that Tommy Hawk has played this year. He's played 27 games in left, 25 games in center. He's got 1 in the right field corner. He has 1 game at DH. He's, interestingly enough, played 5 games at second base. Oh, and he's thrown 2/3 of an inning as well.
Why not? Add some pitching in there as well. How did that 2/3 of an inning go? I'm curious.
Yeah, nothing. He didn't allow a single thing.
Hey, there you go.
There
If you need him in the very, very back end of things. But yeah, that's so left and center. That just the way our outfield has kind of been set. Just going through the guys that we have off the top of my head. Jason Churio has been mainly in center. Alfonso Rosario has been primarily in right field. Wilfredo Antunes, he's been on both corners. Don't believe he's played any center for us. And then, Tommy Hawk now sounding like he's in left and center. So, it's been a very fun outfield to watch with Lake County, and that's just going to continue here with the addition of Tommy Hawk. We're really looking forward to having him aboard.
Yeah, going to be really interesting to see what new winningest manager in captain's history, Omir Santos, has to do with that. All right, Taven, shall we dive on into second half improvements and what each team can improve upon?
Let's do it.
Lynchburg, I honestly feel like is pretty simple, so we can knock
Yeah.
this one out really fast. We'll go bottom to top again like we did with the results. I mean, just keep playing your game. But now comes the interesting part for Lynchburg in the second half, and it's what we just talked about, right? But the reverse. Tommy Hawk is going to fill a very nice role in Lake County. There's no one that's going to take over that role. Like Welbin Francisca can steal bases. Ryan Cesarini can steal bases. Garrett Howe can steal bases. They all have over 20 this season. Nick Mitchell, since he's been back, has got 11. So they got guys that can steal, not at the rate of Tommy Hawk. Tommy Hawk, to me, is just such a special player. There's not really anyone else like him within this Lynchburg lineup. However, with Nick Mitchell there, I think you're going to start to see Nick Mitchell play a lot bigger of a role here with this team. And Welbin Francisca has been waking up lately. Luis Morejo is the power bat that, I mean, every lineup needs, but he's really been the only guy hitting home runs over the fence on a fairly consistent basis for them. Otherwise, I just think a lot of these guys are going to need to step up. And besides trying to figure out the lineup without the everyday player of Tommy Hawk in it, get Jogly Garcia back healthy. Again, you can tread water for the second half now. You still want to play really good. Don't finish 20 games below 500. No. Panic alarms would set off then. But getting Jogly Garcia back healthy and then finding a lineup without Tommy Hawk in it that works and that is successful consistently, I think the two biggest things that Jordan Smith will focus on.
Yeah, like you said, I mean, I think now that we're in this situation talking about Tommy Hawk, I think it goes to show how important that first half was in winning that first half while your team's at full strength. Obviously, Tommy Hawk's now gone. I think, Jogly Garcia, I think a guy like that's probably going to be gone. So this Lynchburg team, like we've mentioned over and over, it's going to kind of have a whole 180. I think we're going to see a lot of guys go, especially with the draft coming up in about 3 weeks. We're going to see, yeah, we're going to see a ton of new talent rolling there. So a Lynchburg team that I would say there's not one deciding factor. I mean, you've touched on a lot of it that could be an improvement. I think it's now, how can a guy like Cesarini kind of step in and fill those leadoff spot shoes per se? I think it's the guys that coming out of the draft, I think those guys stepping up, getting good development in, and then, just being ready for the playoffs. I think it's just going to be next man up mentality for Lynchburg, especially with a ton of moves that I see them doing coming up. I think Matson's another guy who I think is going to be in Lake County in no time, just with the way that he's been performing. So I think from the pitching and then just the batting order, I think it's going to hit an entire 180. So I just think it's how can these new guys kind of step up and what are they going to be capable of when they get, the opportunities to just do something in Lynchburg.
Yeah, absolutely. And the draft is the biggest part of that, right?
For
like
sure.
we all know that this is a Lynchburg team that's probably going to look really, really different come when that championship series does happen. Guys are going to come up through the draft. Guys are going to go up to Lake County, and you might even see a cut here and there as well. So I think Lynchburg, as constructed, you lose arguably your biggest piece. I don't think it's arguable, but maybe to someone it is. Tommy Hawk, you lose your biggest piece. He's gone up one level. Now it's adapting around him and getting some of these draft picks in there as well, while still finding a way to play really good baseball and go on to win a championship at the end of the season once this thing is all said and done. Logan, you got any thoughts on Lynchburg?
Yeah, it's winning the first half just gives you so much flexibility. I mean, there's just so many different directions that things can go, depending on, maybe there may be some players where you were thinking, hey, maybe we weren't thinking of promoting them until a little bit later. Maybe there's some kind of ones that are earlier than you might expect. Might be some that are a bit later than you might expect. And I think the biggest factor there is the MLB draft, just with that coming up in the next couple of weeks. That's just a time of year where throughout every farm system in baseball, you just see a lot of movement. You see the a bit unfortunate reality of the business. There are just a lot of people that end up getting released. Some of them end up finding new teams, anything like that. But there's just a lot that can happen. You have the playoff spot intact. You just want to keep things at a good and consistent level. And yeah, just you won't really exactly know what that team will look like. Just all depends on waves of how people are fairly progressing, and then draft picks. It just depends on how many get assigned to each affiliate. Yeah, there's just a lot to really look forward to there with Lynchburg. And I mean, with that in hand, like, for us with Lake County, we're really happy for them and excited for them. And we know that the future is very bright for us in the coming weeks, months, and years.
Yeah, kind of like last year, Akron looking down at Lake County, be like, "Ooh, I want all of those pieces. I want all of them." Taven, if you got nothing else on Lynchburg, I want to dive into Potosky's area because to me, Lake County is probably the most interesting affiliate to talk about when you talk about second half adjustments. Taven, you agree?
Yeah, for sure.
Logan, you agree?
Yeah, I mean, we've just got just a lot of talent across the board. We're just looking forward to what we can do on the chase for a second half playoff spot, because we want to defend the ship, as we say, because we got the Midwest League crown last year. We want to do everything we can to make it back to back.
That's a pun too. I get it.
Yep. Oh yeah. 100%. Well done, sir.
No, well done for you. You made the pun. I'm just giving you credit where credit is due. So Logan, I have spoken, and you can touch on this as much. I know you got to keep your ins with the organization and everything, but touch on this as much as you may. When I have looked at this Lake County team, and I've watched them on my Bally Sports app and whatnot, this seems like a team to me that is very much so kind of like the Guardians at the big league level. When they score this amount of runs, they're really successful. For the Guardians that year, that magic number is 4. To me, it's kind of the reverse. When there was a long stretch back in May to June where it was a very rare case where that captain's pitching staff allowed 5 or more runs. And, when the offense hit really well and the pitching staff was doing its thing, it seemed like that was the magic number. And for the most part this season, the captains have held teams to 4 or less runs. They've been very, very successful. The series where they haven't done that, or where the bats haven't necessarily come alive, is where they've earned the splits and they've even lost some series. Lake County to me is such an interesting one because the pitching is on, sometimes the bats aren't. If the bats are on, sometimes the pitching isn't. And there was a very frustrating point with Lake County for me where you got split after split after split, and it felt like you were playing good enough to win these series, but it wasn't coming to fruition. So anything that I just said, feel free to speak freely on.
Yeah, I mean, you make a lot of great solid points there. Yeah, I mean, magic number for this year for the offense, it's been 5, because when we scored at least 5 runs in a game this year, we're 24-5. When we score 0-2, we are 2-21. So it's that's kind of the tipping point, if you will. If you get past the 5-run threshold, obviously, I mean, that's very tough to do on a night in, night out basis. So you are going to, hopefully get some more of those games that are those nitty gritty, like 2-1, 1-0 pitchers duels that end up going your way. If you can get just a handful more of those, keep up those strong offensive performances as they've been coming fairly often this year, you're going to find yourself in a very good spot. Another compelling stat, I suppose, that's in that kind of realm. When we allow at least 1 home run in a game, we are, I can't remember if South Bend hit a home run this past week, but going into Sunday, we were 9-24 this year when the other team hits at least a home run. When they don't, we were 27-8. So it's that tug of war of offense on both sides there. When we've been in a strong rhythm, it's been very hard for the other teams to take us down. But when we've been in those kind of like tough, grinded out games, it's been tough to come by a win so far this year. But really in the second half, just hoping to have a few more of those go our way. And I really think if they do, we can find ourselves in a very strong spot, looking to get into that second half playoff spot.
Taven, your thoughts on Lake County?
Yeah. First off, I just think I think pitching, in my opinion, needs to kind of find its consistency. I would think that's the big thing. We've kind of talked about it. Matt Wilkinson, he's been up and down. I think he really needs to start kind of finding the groove that we saw him in last year when DeLucia was there, up and down. Humphreys looks spectacular one week, that maybe doesn't have his best stuff. And so I just think it's kind of the pitching staff, especially the starters, that kind of need to find their groove. We've touched on the bats. I mean, I don't think that they're going to slow down anytime soon. I mean, Benjamin, he's erupted, just doing great things, and guys of that nature. I mean, Velasquez, he's starting to really pick it up. Cozart, Churio, if those guys can stay healthy, I think health, it's going to play a big factor too, because, you know, Churio was kind of banged up here and there, and, you know, things of that nature. So I think just consistency. I mean, if there was one word, it would have to be that. And I just think that's kind of the biggest thing. There is some breaking news from Guardians prospective name that you'll probably find interesting.
Oh, hang on.
Michael Kennedy, piece of the Andres Jimenez trade, is activated off the 7-day IL and will start for Lake County on Thursday after making a couple starts in the complex league. So it'll help out with the pitching staff a lot. Yeah. So
there you go, Logan. How's that make you feel?
Very happy to hear that. Mike has been an absolute pleasure to work with, be around. Just very chill guy. Just one of those just chill guy, kinds of guys. He gives you plenty of great stuff on the mound. Just, was just tough to see him go on the injured list. But it's going to be a pleasure to see him back in action. He's another piece of that Luis Ortiz trade. That's been a fun thing about this captain's team too. Just watching these trades happen in the offseason, especially, you see all these prospects involved. I'm like, a lot of these guys are either right around high A or they're going to be in high A. Yeah. We've discussed Nick Mitchell was a part of the Andres Jimenez trade, hoping to maybe see him at some point this year. We'll ultimately see. But Alfonso Rosario was a part of the Eli Morgan trade, and boy, has he been an electric player to watch this year. And then two left-handers, Josh Hartle and Michael Kennedy, both in that Spencer Horwitz Cleveland Guardian for 2 hours trade that we made that same night as the Andres Jimenez deal. So it's been very cool to see, those pieces of trades in action, just getting to see them and be like, hey, what's the impression you're going to get? Because as a kid, it's been awesome to see the prospect following the minor league spotlight being, so much more mainstream than I'd say it was when we were kids. Just back in those days, it'd be like, right, yeah, even 5 years ago or so, you see kind of these prospects thrown into trades. You're like, yeah, I don't really know who that is. And then you get to see them, it's like, oh, yeah, I remember that. But now we're getting to see these guys at a more mainstream manner at these different minor league levels. So, yeah, great. Very happy to see that Mike's going to be getting back into the fold here this week. Yeah, he's been another strong lefty on that starting staff. And consistency, I like that as a key word for this team. Tavin made a great point. I think it just is that, because we've had so many great, solid performances from starting pitchers. I think just getting those more consistent. Last year, again, the rotation last year, I would have put it against anyone in minor league baseball. Messer, Peterson, Spivey, Denholm. Yep. Those 4 guys, Maltrid at the end of the season. With all 5 of those guys, you were almost expecting quality start. That was almost a standard. And obviously Matt Wilkinson in that mix as well. So, I mean, I don't know if it can be that level. We would absolutely love it if it's at that level. That's like a once in a generation type of level, I would say, on the minor league circuit, those kinds of starting pitching stats. But they've been having some strong performances this year. Just getting to see more of them on a consistent basis, I think, would be a very great thing. That's going to lead this team into a very strong spot here.
Logan, one final question for you before we move on here into Akron regarding Lake County, because while we have you here, we want to pick your brain about it. 8 home runs for Matt Wilkinson is a very concerning number, but has that been the biggest thing that's plagued the inconsistency of Tugboat this year? As one of the top pitching prospects in the organization, I think consistency is especially highlighted when you look at him, especially after the season he had last year.
Right. Yeah. It's kind of just been the early innings, I would say. If he can give you a fairly quick early inning, more often than not, he's going to give you one of those very strong stat lines like he just had this past week. Something that didn't necessarily help him. I think if you look at his game log, I think he made 4 starts against Great Lakes in the span of our first 30 games or something. So it was you had that same team was seeing you in a very close capacity early and often, So sooner or later, teams are going to figure some certain things out. Obviously, you're trying to, still figure things out against the hitters that you're facing. So, in this second half, facing some teams you haven't, faced in a long time. We're going to be facing Wisconsin, who he faced in the championship series last year, and he turned in his longest career start against them in the Midwest League Championship Series. So, just kind of a fresh, schedule slate. Weather's changing too. Just so many factors for what a pitcher can do. And just, when Matt's on, he is just absolutely fun to watch. He's an electric factory on the mound, just gives you that competitive fire that you really look for. Super nice, chill guy as well. And just really, hoping that he can continue to build on what was a very historic season last year.
Tavis, if you got nothing else about Lake County, we'll let you kick it off with Akron.
Yeah, I think if you really look at Akron, I think it's kind of what we touched on earlier. It was kind of just getting healthy. I think that's kind of the big part. Absolutely. And kind of just treading water there at the beginning. I think once you get, members of that pitching staff back with Maltrid and Spivey, and you start to get those guys back, I think pitching is going to fall into place. Same kind of with the bats. I mean, once you get Bazana back, guys of that nature, I think it's going to really start to click. I mean, there's talent. There's no doubt about it. You got Cooper Ringel, who has been just insane over the past 2 years. As a catcher, we don't see anybody come close to 300, it seems like, anymore. And this guy's doing it on a consistent basis. So you got him. You got Burgos, who is a heck of a power hitter in that lineup. Kind of reminds me of a Jonathan Rodriguez type of guy when he was there, but can obviously play more than one position. You got him in the corner outfield spots, more so right, and then first base now. Very talented outfield. I mean, you got guys, Joe Lampe and Guy Lipscomb over this past month have absolutely found their groove, especially Guy Lipscomb. He's turned into an absolute beast. And then with the additions of Advicula, I think we're going to, maybe see a couple more moves closer to draft time, clear some space. Guys from Lake County to, step up in those roles. But, Angel, he's going to obviously just start doing his things. He's number 3 prospect in our system for a reason. So I just think it's just got to let things fall into place if you're Akron. I think the talent's there for sure. I think it's all going to come around, but I just think it's going to take a little bit of time. And until that happens, I think you just kind of have to tread some water.
Yeah, and there are still moments this year where the thing that that plagued Akron last year was they just couldn't hit. But it seems like with Akron, I don't know if this is just an organizational thing. It seems to be a little bit more often than the traditional, their bats are cold today. That happened a lot more recently towards the end of this season. But like we said, Akron is set up very, very well. They have probably, besides Erie, although I would contend that I think Akron is a more talented roster than Erie. The injury bug definitely hurt them. That might be a bold take. Some of the minor league heads out there might be like, I can't believe you said that. Oh, well, I could be a homer. Let me do that. But they finished 9.5 games above the third place team in their division, and they start against Harrisburg, who was that third place team for the first series. Now, the one thing that Akron didn't have to contend with last half was the Binghamton Rumble Ponies. And I'll put out a pun of my own. They rumbled through that first half. That team was insane to watch. They were amazing throughout the entirety of the first half, finishing with a slightly better win percentage than Erie, but they did play 2 fewer games. So, who knows, right? But Akron to me set up very, very well, especially once Bazana comes back, once all these pitchers get back. Yes, the stars of the pitching rotation are gone. The beauty of minor league baseball is those stars then start to develop, kind of like how Austin Peterson came into the second half of last year with Akron and really lit it up. Obviously, now he's in Columbus. Who's that going to be from Lake County to come up? Or is it someone that's already with the Akron organization? But getting healthy, but I think just finding that solid consistency once you get healthy. I think it'll be a little interesting, but I mean, we have not seen the dynamic infield, Taven, that we talked about at the beginning of the season that Akron was supposed to have. Like, more specifically, we have not seen Hanau and Bazana on the field at the same time. And that's going to be your second base and shortstop when healthy. That's absurd. And now, of course, with Jorge Burgos playing first base, you're going to slot Dion Frias in at third. What an infield. That's awesome. Especially once all the pitchers and stuff get healthy. Akron should, in my opinion, cruise in the second half of the season. Logan, what say you?
That point that you recently just brought up, Nate, was one that was in my mind as you guys were talking about it. We have not seen Angel Hanau and Travis Bazzano together yet with Akron. They really haven't had their full squad together yet during this season. There just have been some unfortunate injuries on their end, so hopefully they can get the whole gang together as this second half rolls on. Yeah, just an incredibly talented group. There's a lot of 2024 Midwest League champions on that squad. Alex Mooney, another infield talent as well. He had an incredible first half of last year and was one of the heart and soul leaders of our team. And obviously with Akron, can't talk about Akron without discussing Cooper Engel. He is just an incredible talent at the catcher spot. Gives you some great athleticism. The bat-to-ball skills for him at the catcher spot are very hard to come by in today's day and age. And he's also just a great leader too. Having him in the fold, and of course I have to say it, he was our first league MVP in franchise history last year. Won the Midwest League MVP award for a reason.
Yep.
He's our first one we've ever had. He's played like it, acted like it, and he's continued to do so with Akron. So a big second half from him as well. And just getting the full squad together, I think, is really the big thing with them because there is a boatload of talent at the Rubber Ducks side of things. Yep. So getting to see it all at once is going to be a great treat, and certainly hoping that we get to do so this year.
It was something that I didn't have often when Chase DeLauder was still on the team. Like you feel like over the past couple of seasons since that Eastern League championship year, Akron has never really had their full troop of guys. Well, hopefully they get to have it this year. Logan, would you like to start on Columbus? It's something you're interested to watch for them for the second half.
Yeah, I mean, the thing I'm really interested in, maybe a little more of a personal thing, but so I became the main voice of the captains in 2023. I also was a radio intern in 2022. So I'm starting it with 2023 when I became the main voice of the team. I'm yet to see my first big leaguer that I worked with, get up to the bigs. I'm waiting to see who it is. I'm this close, I feel like. There's so many names of contention there. I just first off the bat for me, Chase DeLauder, CJ Kafis, Parker Messick, Juan Brito. There's just so many options. For me, that's kind of the thing I'm on the lookout for. Sure. It's probably more of a personal note, but I mean, Guardians fans are on the lookout for that as well. Just waiting to see. I will say that Doug Nikhazy was on the team and I was an intern, but he was not a captain in 23. We can either call it the Logan Potosky broadcaster era or the Omir Santos managerial era. I'll probably use the latter there. He's our winningest manager in franchise history for a reason. But I'll say in the Omir Santos era, we have yet to see our first big leaguer. I can't wait to see who it is, and I hope we get to see it at some point during the second half.
Logan, a conversation I actually want to have here with you a little bit later because I want your thoughts on this. Taven and I have hashed that later. But as far as Columbus goes, Taven, kick it right over to you. These quad A players, you're still, I think, going to see pieces go up and down from the big league club to Columbus in both the pitching staff as guys continue to rehab in the lineup, as I'm sure we'll see Brian Rocchio back with the big league club at some point. And we'll touch on some of the other names here a little bit later. But Taven, I can't just help but get deja vu from last season.
If I had to limit it to one word, I would just say transactions. I mean, I think that's the biggest thing that we're going to look for. I think Chase DeLauder, obviously, that's kind of the big name that's floating around. And big part of it is, can he stay healthy? I think that's the number one question that kind of surrounds him. If he does, I've been saying it, I think we could see him maybe 2 to 3 weeks, maybe get up there. I mean, if this Cleveland team keeps, bats aren't hot and got to make a move, I think DeLauder, he would have to be one of the top guys. I mean, Petey Halpin, he's on the 40-man roster too. Another guy that I think could be one of those choices. And then you got the quad A guys that we like to refer to. Will Wilson, Brian Rocchio, Joey Cantillo, Big Christmas. You got 4 guys just right there that have seen Major League time just this season. I think we could see them up there again. But I think Columbus is just going to be a lot of kind of send up and kind of replace with a guy that's coming down. I think we're going to see them not necessarily move as much as Lynchburg, but I don't think this team's going to be. I don't think the lineup per se is going to be exactly what we see as it is now. I don't think Rocchio will be there anymore. I don't think maybe like Cantillo. So it'll be interesting to see kind of what happens there. But the pitching's really coming around. Love to see that. Guys like Davenport, Peter said they're really starting to find their groove after a little bit of struggles in the beginning. Messick, he's been a beast. And then you got the Bats, who I don't think they're going to have a problem going in that second half. So.
Logan, you want to talk some big league club?
I mean, hey, we're talking about the entire organization. Might as well talk
big
leagues
as
well.
Gonna relate it back to the minor leagues a little bit. Taven and I have hashed this out before, and you know, all the people throughout Twitter, all the Guardians fans, they're like, where is Chase DeLauder? Where is CJ Kafis? Where's this player? Where's that player? Why aren't they up yet? I keep trying to tell people it's really not that simple, because neither DeLauder or Kafis are on the 40-man, and you take a look at someone that is like Petey Halpin, even though he's not the star, kind of like Tolentino, another one of those under-the-radar guys that even Guardians prospective on Twitter is like, hey, watch out for Petey Halpin. But I mean, what are your thoughts on what the Guardians should be doing with some of that top-end talent we're seeing at the AAA level that some Guardians fans may be saying is wasting away?
You know, there's a lot of things that go into it. I think first things first is the jump from AAA to the major leagues is way bigger than I think people would imagine that it is. Greatly different from a jump from single A to high A to double A to AAA. Those jumps just gradually grow in size. But that AAA to the majors, it's real. It's there. I just, if I'm looking at another organization, look at somebody like Jack Caglione. As when I last checked his stats, I think it was like the other day, he was still batting below the Mendoza line. So like, it's real. I mean, that may have changed, at the time we're talking about it here, but there's just so many things that go into it. Like you mentioned, there's the whole 40-man roster situation. There's the whole thing with like service time. You want to try to get, I think it's like the most service time out of your players that you potentially can. There's like so many send ups and send downs you have with players. So you're just trying to like monitor that whole situation there. So there's just a lot of different things that go into it. So, just curious how everything ends up going the rest of this year. Just, you never know. You really never know with these things. Just somebody can catch some kind of great groove at the right time, and then they get that call up. You're just hoping that, a lot of these guys can turn into those everyday type of players, because that's who they can be.
And then your thoughts too, as it relates, Taven and I have talked about this too. There are so many players in this organization that deserve major league time, but we can't give it to all of them. Like, I have a good feeling, and Guardians Prospective has echoed my thoughts. He said it before I did, so I'll give him the credit. John Kenzie Noel is not a platoon bat. You got to have him in the lineup every day, I think, to give him his full use. Jonathan Rodriguez, again, is slowly starting to get his stuff figured out, but his swing is so long. I could make a business call by the time he finishes his swing. He's got to shorten that thing up. Will Wilson just never got it figured out, and then he only got into 2 games during the week. They really didn't do anything with him for the longest time. Now you have Brian Rocchio that's down there, and the confusing thing about him is he's hitting well, but his fielding has been awful, when usually it's the other way around in Cleveland. And even guys that are at the major league level right now, Angel Martinez has been great. I think he's solidified himself. Daniel Schneemann is up there, and you could even throw a couple other guys in that conversation. That's another part of why I think this is so difficult for the organization to handle right now. You got so many guys that on the surface level deserve that major league time. You only have 27 roster spots, and less than half of that goes to the position guys.
Yeah, just, for like some of those types of roles, you're trying to find who's the everyday person. That's like ideally what you're trying to look for. But there's just so many guys who have a lot of versatility. They offer you that flexibility you can just try different things. Like you've seen Angel Martinez in the infield, you've seen him in center field. I believe you've seen him in right field as well. And Daniel Schneemann, the same thing. He had a point where like it was something along the lines of like within the span of about a week, he played like 5 or 6 different positions, but he gives you that kind of flexibility. That's just what some of these players are able to do. But ultimately, just trying to hone in on some of those everyday spots, just trying to iron out who can some of those be, and just hopefully trying to get those answers as soon as you can. And just with all of the talent that's in the organization, you're going to be trying out many more players, just trying to look for that ideal lineup that can get you into the World Series and bring home that first World Series title since '48.
Well, Taven, let's start by diving on into the big league club, because it was not a good week for the Guardians last week. However, this upcoming baseball's, I mean, okay, it's baseball, so weeks like this are going to happen, but it feels like the Guardians do this every year, where they have such a disappointing week and they're going up against a team like San Fran, and you're like, great, here we go again. The disappointment continues, and then they take 2 of 3. And yeah, there was a disappointing loss to the Athletics in there. You still take 2 of 3. Ultimately, You take 4 of 9 from the road trip. You're sitting 2 games above 500. You've never dropped below 500 on the season. And for as bad as some people are saying this team is playing, especially offensively, right now they're in a wild card spot. They're tied with Seattle. Now, Seattle's got the edge over them because of the head-to-head, which can change if Cleveland sweeps them in Cleveland. Good luck. But after that long road trip and building momentum at the end of that, now they're going to come back home for what's going to feel like forever.
Yeah, I think the schedule gets, a little easier. Obviously, you're not on the road, so at home, that's going to play a big factor into it too. But I think the pitchers are really starting to step it up, and that's something that we haven't seen all year. Gavin Williams, he's had his best stuff. Slade Ciccone has turned into an absolute beast when he's been on the mound. Bobby struggled from time to time, but if you get a good start out of him, he's on
it's
fire.
the home run ball for him. I think he's given up 14 or 15 jacks this year.
You could
Maybe
argue
it's not that high, but
you could argue the same with Logan Allen. Logan Allen's a guy who will go out and give you 5 perfect innings, but he'll always have 1 home run. So I think all 4 of them have been solid. I think Ortiz has really struggled. We've seen that out of him all year, but I think the bats
start this past week.
He has. But I think the bats, they're starting to pick up a little bit. We were in that dry spell. Now I think they're starting to get a little bit back. I think guys like Schneemann and Angel, they're really starting to pick up the pace, be those middle guys. Obviously, Quan and Ramirez are going to do Quan and Ramirez things for this lineup. Santana, got to get him going a little bit more. But I like what I've been seeing out of this team. Like you said, though, Seattle, it was rough. It wasn't looking great. San Fran, here we go. But they do take 2 or 3, and then they take 2 or 3 again. So I think that's just got to be the theme of this team until you really get, in my opinion, Bieber back. I think that's kind of what you have to look forward to. I don't think you're going to catch Detroit, but if you keep playing solid baseball, 2 out of 3, you're in that wild card race, and you can hang with a lot of these teams being, the Red Sox, Seattle, Toronto. It's going to be a big series coming up with them. So, yeah, I think you just got to keep pace and just got to be consistent to the All-Star break.
It took way longer than last year, but this team is finally starting to become what we kind of saw last year, where the starters are going to pitch really well. Look at the stats. Their ERA has gotten better and better as the months have went on. Hopefully we see July as another record low. But Logan, you can either speak from a professional standpoint, speak as a fan, do whatever you please, because we're all fans of the organization here. Where do you stand with where the Guardians are playing right now?
Yeah, I mean, just had some positive momentum towards the end of this recent West Coast road trip that they had. I mean, there really is no place like home, especially in Cleveland during these summer months. It just really seems to be, as the weather heats up, the team just seems to heat up as well. So certainly hoping for more of the same. I think we have a fairly decently long homestand coming up here in downtown Cleveland. So yeah, whole week. So just like we've been saying, just once you just string together a couple wins like that, trying to win as many series as you can. I feel like the series record really is like a strong indicator of how the team is doing. Obviously wins and losses, that's the number one, but just if you could just keep going for those series wins like you've been, and just settling into some of those everyday type of roles for a handful more of these players. Quite a bit of talent on this roster. Just hoping for it all to come together. And then, it was mentioned having Shane Bieber coming back. That's going to be a big boost when that eventually does happen. If he's anything like he was at the start of last year, he was looking like his 2020 self.
Yep.
That is a major, major addition to the squad. So just wishing them all the best, and just hoping for another magical run, just like we had this past year.
So they got the Blue Jays and Cardinals at home this week. Then, I mean, you're going to run through the gauntlet again on the road in Chicago against the Cubs, who I think might very well be the MLB's best team this season. And PCA is my front runner for the MVP. That's just me. You have a different opinion. That's fine. Then you got the Tigers at home. We'll see. We'll see about that one. They were able to take 3 of 4 in Motown.
The Tigers really well,
which is very surprising. So we'll see if the Tigers can get their revenge up in Progressive Field. Then you have the Astros, and you close out with a 4-game series against the White Sox before the All-Star break. But Mr. Potosky told this to Taven last week. The schedule after All-Star weekend gets considerably easier. The Athletics, the Orioles, on the road against the Royals, and the Rockies are their first 4 series, and 3 of those 4, the one besides the Royals, all at home. Taven and I have said if you can tread water, maybe you get to 5 games above 500 and sit fairly close, if not in a wild card spot. This is the team that, with all coming back, and who knows, maybe a Chase DeLauder, a CJ Kafis, a Tolentino, a PD Halpin comes up and just starts to explode. I think this is a team that, especially if the starting pitching just continues to improve, which it's going to hit its plateau at some point, but if it continues to pitch as well as it has, that second half of the season, all it takes is one good win streak to really secure that playoff spot.
Yeah, I mean, if you can just win as many of those games that you're expected to be supposed to, like you said, a few of those teams to start that post All-Star break schedule, those seem like that there's a lot of those games that you should win. Those are really the big ones, just because sometimes those can kind of end up catching up to you if you fall in more of those games that you're expecting to win, that you really should be probably winning, that you're not able to quite get the job done there. Those can catch up to you quickly. So just after the All-Star break, if you can get off to a hot start, like you said, a big win streak can really be a catapult to what could be a very, very strong run. So just trying to rack up as many of those series wins as you can in a row. That's going to really help you have a strong run. Reinforcements, those are going to always help you as well. Somebody like Shane Bieber, if you can get some more quality innings from your starting pitching like you've been continually seeing as of recently, and the bullpen continues to do its thing, it really is a strong team that has a lot ahead of it, and hopefully it's another big-time playoff run just like we had back in 2024.
Taven, any final thoughts on guard ball? As I'm looking for 4 of 6. You keep winning series. You get 2 against the Blue Jays, which is a massive series for the wild card standings, by the way. And then you get 2 against the National League opponent in St. Louis. They've got a real good record for playing in what's proven to be a very strong division in the National League Central this year. You continue to get these wins here. What would 4 of 6 put you at? 4 games above 500 going into that really tough stretch? I'd feel pretty good.
Yeah, I'd have to agree.
Any final thoughts for you on the big league club, Taven, or Logan, for that matter?
I do not.
I think we covered it pretty well.
Logan, is there anything else that you would like to say about the Guardians, Clippers, Captains, Ducks? Anything else you'd like to say before we tell the people where to find you?
Well, I mean, we're set to have a fun second half in store on the minor league level. For us with Lake County, plenty of really cool things going on at the ballpark during the second half. We've got an awesome bobblehead lineup, excellent promotional lineup. There's a lot of great baseball to be played at these minor league levels and the major league level as well. So just excitement for what's ahead, plenty of second half playoff spots up for grabs, and for the Cleveland Guardians, hoping that they can get another playoff spot for themselves as well.
Logan, one player across all the minor leagues, or you can stick home in Lake County, or I should say in all the minor league system here in Cleveland. You can stick at home in Lake County. You can go to anyone. One player, maybe one batter, one pitcher, however you want to do this, that you're really excited to watch for the rest of the season.
I just think one name that a lot of people should have an eye on is Alfonso Rosario. He's got double-digit doubles, double-digit home runs this year. He gives you a solid speed threat on the bases as well. Just turned 21 a couple of days ago. We got him in the Eli Morgan trade, and he just gives you just a great combination of speed and power. And, kind of on the other side of what a lot of these prospects have been, we've been very much left-handed hitter heavy over the past couple of years. He is one of those righties that just gives you these eye-popping exit velocities off the bat. And, he is just a very strong talent. Baseball runs a lot in his family, too. He's actually cousins with Franmil Reyes, former Cleveland Guardian, and he's also cousins with Ketel Marte. So he has got a very strong baseball foundation, and he has been one of the big-time bats in this Lake County lineup. So, that's the one I'll probably give you, especially because, we traded what was a mainstay big league reliever for him who had just finished a season in Single A. So I am seeing in person early on why exactly that deal was made. He has been an incredible talent.
Well, like it or not, this is the Guardians organization that, while it's very annoying, you ship off a lot of the big league guys that seem like they're ready to get paid. They do pretty well in trade markets. So it takes some time, but they usually do pretty well in trade markets, especially if you're a fan of minor league baseball like us. Logan, it's always fun having you on, friend of the program. Where can the people find you on social media, and where can they listen to you call some Captain's Baseball?
Thanks for having me on, and appreciate the kind words. For me, social is just at my name. So it's LOGANPOTOSKY. For Lake County Captains broadcasts, you can watch us for free on the Bally Sports Live app.
Stop on my phone.
There you go. Oh yeah, you have that. I think it's the MILB zone. If you do have MLB TV or MILB TV, you can watch us there as well. And looking ahead to this week, we are going to have one of the free games of the day this coming Wednesday morning at 11:05. We're going to be hosting West Michigan. So for that, you can watch us on MLB.com, pretty much anywhere you can find us there. So yeah, Bally Sports Live app, MILB TV, MILB.com, and then that's where you can tune into us. And it's a pleasure bringing you the action from the high A level and looking at so many Guardians of the future going forward here.
Logan will see his first big leaguer soon. It will happen. It will happen soon. All right. He's mentioned before that the Captains are playing West Michigan. Taven has Guards Insider, Guards Prospective put out the pitching rotations yet. But this is a long show. They
want to say that they did.
They did last week.
Yep. It is live.
All right. So, Taven, you will run through the pitching lineups. If you want to make a quick graphic of it, I don't know how long that'll take you. Go ahead and do it. I'll run through who the teams are playing here, but we got Columbus hoping to continue their momentum from the end of the first half, start the second half off strong. They are on the road to play the Iowa Cubs. Strong farm system down there in Iowa. So we'll see what the Clippers can do there on the road. The Akron Rubber Ducks start off the second half at home. They go against the Harrisburg Nationals, a team that again finished third in that division in the Eastern League. Akron finished second, looking for a strong start to the second half off them as well. Potosky and the Lake County Captains will be playing West Michigan, the best team, one of the best teams across minor league baseball and the best team in the Midwest League. They were able to take 4 of 6 the last time they played West Michigan, I believe. So we'll see what goes on there. And then as far as the Lynchburg Hillcats, they start off on the road against Charleston, as Sean Matson told us earlier. Here is your starting lineups. Taven, why don't you run us through what we got as far as the Clippers, Ducks, Captains, and Hillcats?
Yeah, going to be a fun week. You got Melquise Hernandez starting on the bump for Lynchburg in that Tuesday game. Then you got Zibin and Matson coming out of the bullpen. So love to see what he can do, especially after we got the chance to talk to him. Got Doty, Schlesinger, Walty, and then double bump week for Melquise Hernandez. Then for Lake County, again, I have Caden Favors that Wednesday, free game, not doing anything early in the morning. Got to tune in. It's free. Got Josh Hartle on the mound. Then you got the returning Kennedy on Thursday, Tugboat on Friday, Humphreys Saturday, and Favors back-to-back. Got Denholm for the double bump week in Akron. Kick things off on Tuesday. They're back home. Then you got Rodney Boone, Tommy Mace. To be decided on Friday. Could we see a potential Shane Bieber? We'll see. And former captain Dylan DeLucia on Saturday. And then for the Clippers, got Parker Messick kicked the week off. Peterson and Webb coming in after that on Wednesday. Velasquez, who just came off of a great start. I want to say it was a start. Might have been out of the bullpen, but either way, he throws on Thursday. Cantillo and Thor, Aaron Davenport on Friday. Then you got Nikhazy on Saturday, and Messick rounds it out with a double bump week on Sunday.
That TBD on Friday in Akron, I will never ask for anything ever again. Shane Bieber. Please let it be Shane Bieber. Final words here. You can find me at this handle right down here at TailgateNate29, Twitter or X, whatever your preference to call the platform, and Instagram. Add me on Snapchat. I'll add you back. Email me. Same thing down here at gmail.com. Taven, where can they find you?
Yeah, at the handle right there, at McCully Media for Instagram, Stark Sports coverage for any Stark County high school news, such going on in the area. Not in the high school season, but still post a little bit here and there. Yeah, that's all I got for me. Got anything else, Nate?
No, I just want to thank Logan Potosky once more for joining us and taking 100 minutes out of his day to be on here on the podcast with you. Logan, a great baseball mind and truly an awesome voice, sir. Have a great second half, and thanks for coming on the podcast.
Absolutely, gents. Thanks so much for having me aboard. And I guess that's what keeping it 100 means, at least on this podcast side of things.
Sure. Let's go for it. Taven, get us out of here. And we got a new outro graphic you can find where to watch the podcast throughout any other platforms.
Yeah, once again, want to thank Logan Potosky for joining us. Absolute pleasure being able to sit down with him for 100 minutes, being able to talk. One of the best voices in minor league baseball. So if you can't get out to a captain's game, got to tune in, got to watch one of the broadcasts. One of the nicer fields. I haven't been there in a minute. Was just up there recently for the David Njoku softball game. It's probably like 10 years since I've been up there, but it's a really nice stadium. I know, Nate, you're like 10 minutes away from it, right?
Oh yeah, real close in Eastlake. Down here in Mayfield, it's not too far.
Oh yeah. So, but yeah, want to thank all 49 of you guys watching.
Oh, we're so close.
So close to 50. We're getting it next week.
All right, second half goal 75. Can we do it? Can we do it? First half goal was 50. We were one short. I'm going to round up. I'll count it. Let's go second half goal 75.
All right. Well, want to thank everybody for sticking with us. We'll be back next Monday. Maybe an interview later on in the week. We'll see. But hit the Instagram, hit the X, keep up with everything, and we'll see everybody next week. Take care.